What's poppin', guys? Attacking Toucans here, finally welcoming you back to Let's Build the Ultimate Legend of Zelda roller coaster. So I decided to do an opening shot today approaching the castle, and unfortunately for my poor computer, this park is getting so big that whenever I record it, the frame rate gets a little bit skippy, but thankfully this series is sped up game footage, so whenever I speed things up, you guys cannot see the frame skipping. What I plan to do is my old roommate Squill, he has a really nice computer that he built. It has like really expensive parts. Whenever I get the park finished and like make videos over the actual rides, I'll probably use his computer to record the actual ride videos. That way it has a good frame rate and looks crisp. Anyways, today I am excited to announce that we are finally going to begin building the actual coaster inside of this castle. There is still more decorating I want to do on the outside of the castle. It's still a little bit more simplistic. I still have more things I want to do in the main room, but I thought I can kind of put that stuff in the back burner for a couple episodes, because this is Let's Build the Ultimate Zelda Coaster, and I haven't even started building the coaster yet, so we should probably get to it. So the type of coaster I ended up choosing is a floorless roller coaster. The reason I chose this is because from my experiences of riding floorless roller coasters, they're really comfortable. I like the way these straps hold you in, and they allow you to go through lots of loops and corkscrews in a comfortable manner. They also ride pretty smooth, and typically whenever I go to a theme park, some of their best coasters are usually floorless roller coasters, just because there's so much versatility to what you can do with them. I just overall like them, and I thought I wanted to make this the best coaster in the park with how much decoration we're doing, and so that's why I chose this coaster. Anyways, I just did something really weird. I built up this landform, and I'm filling the second floor of this castle with earth. I'm doing this for several reasons. The first reason is because, if you couldn't already tell by the music, I wanted to make the second floor of this coaster themed like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And so what I'm kind of trying to do is trying to create this wild outdoor type section, but put it indoors, so it's kind of like a little treat whenever you get to the second floor of the castle. It's almost like the thing you would least expect when you go to the second floor of a castle, which is kind of why I chose it. It makes it seem like the developers of this park really put in some big bucks to make the theming for this coaster really freaking awesome. The second reason I did it is because of the coaster supports. Now, if I didn't have land up here, the coaster supports would reach all the way down through the first floor, and there would be just tons of random supports throughout the main room of the castle, and I didn't want that to happen. Now, you do have the ability to turn the track supports off if you don't want that to happen, but the problem with that is then the coaster would appear to be floating. So, I mean, I could have put manual supports, but since it kind of worked out that I could just put the land up there and kind of try to create a natural scene from the Breath of the Wild. So I ended up taking a small break from working on the land, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to create one of the Sheikah Towers that reaches up in Breath of the Wild. Now, I've been playing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild a lot recently because I've been streaming it on my Twitch channel, and it kind of is one of the main things that inspired me to build a Breath of the Wild themed section. And I'm saying Breath of the Wild way too many times. Can I shorten it somehow? Like, Butawa? Just like pronounce the abbreviation? I don't know. Now, recreating something in Planet Coaster isn't always the easiest thing to do. It kind of depends on what you're building, because the game does have a limited amount of scenery. You can't build literally anything you want to. You are kind of within the bounds of the objects that they give you. But fortunately, they keep on adding objects into the game. They just added the Adventure DLC pack, and there is so many amazing pieces of scenery in that collection that I'm going to be adding into this coaster. Mostly they added lots of Indiana Jones styled traps, like rolling boulders, like moving scythes, those types of things that you would find in like a temple. So pretty much what my plan is for this coaster is at some point I'm gonna have the coaster go through some like combination of Zelda temple that I curate in my own mind. That's kind of a mixture of like Shadow Temple and Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time. I really want to build like tons of traps that you go through, maybe get chased by one of the boulders, have like arrows flying at you and things, make it really exciting and adventurous. But yeah, this game is a little bit limited to the scenery, so there were lots of moments where I had to like try to find scenery that would match the vision of the Sheikah Tower. Now, I think I kind of nailed it as far as the texture on the sides. I used some metal fence bars for the interior, and then I put this outer fence that gives like the little grips that the tower has. I try to combine different pieces of scenery from different like scenery themes. A perk to playing this game a lot is you become more and more aware of all the scenery options you have to work with, and the more aware of your options, the cooler things you can create. I still spend a lot of time just browsing through all of the different elements the game has to offer, and just try to think outside of the box on what I can do with those specific elements in order to try to make what I have envisioned in my brain. So given that information, this tower isn't going to be a 100% replica of a Sheikah Tower. It is going to be a Planet Coaster reincarnation. Had to make some sacrifices due to limited scenery options. But in the long run, I think this Sheikah Tower ended up turning out pretty damn good. Like I said, it just needs to be close enough to whenever you see it, as long as you can really tell what it is, I think that's what matters the most. And then also using some cool lighting later, I'm going to like illuminate and try to recreate the glowing bright blue features. I also use this, there was icing in one of the content updates. They added a Christmas pack where you could build gingerbread houses and stuff, and they give you little icing decorations. And so I colored the icing as this bright blue, this cyan color, and put it on the pillar to make it look like the pillar has those blue electric glow that the ancient technology uses in Breath of the Wild. I thought it was a kind of cool element. I am super excited to be creating this Breath of the Wild section for the coaster though, because there's just so many elements from Breath of the Wild I can incorporate into this room. I want to have a Sheikah Tower, I'm going to have a Korok, I want to have a shrine. I kind of want to make one of those land formations that's shaped like a skull, wherever you find the moblins just hanging out. I think it'd be cool to recreate one of those skulls. Maybe put some of the blue flames from Hateno Village or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyways, I ended up moving the tower inside the room. That way I could get a good sense of the scale and placement, so I didn't make it too tall. I had to make sure it fit inside the building. Now, making the roof for this tower was a little bit more difficult, trying to find pieces to make the roof as intricate as the towers are. I wasn't able to really completely capture the intricacy of these towers because I don't know, there's not very many Planet Coaster pieces that allow for that. But I'm going to keep on working on it. Whatever I finish today, I'm not going to completely finish the tower. I'm going to keep on like trying to think of ideas for it. And if you guys have any ideas on how to make it better, feel free to let me know in the comment section. Another kind of funny idea I have for this room that would be a really funny jab towards Breath of the Wild is in the scary scenery pack they released, they gave the options to have rain clouds and put rain in the game, like manual rain. And I thought it'd be pretty funny to make this whole entire room filled with rain clouds and rain, because if you guys have played Breath of the Wild, it rains so often in that game, and it can be super frustrating because it doesn't allow you to climb up the cliffs and sometimes can prevent you from climbing up the towers. I think it would be just a perfect reference to all the rain. I'm not going to end up doing that because I think that'd be a little bit unrealistic to have a roller coaster being covered in water continuously, but I think it's just a funny idea. Just a funny idea I can convey in the video. I played around with lighting a little bit as well. I'm going to be using some of the bright blue lights. I'll worry more about the lighting later. Just wanted to kind of get like an overall feel of how it would look. Now I haven't fully decided what I want to do with the very top section of the tower. If I just wanted to leave the space open and just have like a really high roof in this room. I'm not sure like what else I could put in there. I'm not sure if I want to have the coaster chain lift any higher than it is right now, because it is already starting pretty high up in the castle, and I'm going to end up having a majority of this coaster go underground. Like I'm probably going to put the whole entire temple section of this coaster into a gigantic underground room that I create, because we don't have that much more room in the castle. We have a decent amount of space, but not a whole lot of space. We have to use it a little bit sparingly. Now, the hardest piece for me to find for this tower was a piece for Link to have those little rest stops that go up along the tower. I ended up using awning for like one of the villages and like turn the pieces upside down to make it look like little pedestals for Link to stop and like chill at. It doesn't completely match the little rest stops in the game, but I think it matches close enough. You can definitely tell what I was trying to get at. Maybe someday they'll release a piece that I can use instead, but for now, that's the closest thing I could find. And I went through all the scenery like twice to find that piece. That is like, I do make quite a few cuts in these videos. A majority of the things that I cut out is just me scrolling through all of the scenery looking for pieces to find, because I know you guys don't want to watch me scrolling through scenery for a couple minutes. I try to keep these videos as condensed as possible because I know you guys have a lot of stuff going on in your lives, and I want to make these videos pretty much sweet and to the point, especially for those who end up watching the series later. I like to keep the videos as neat as possible. So the next step in creating this room was to naturalize everything. I wanted to make these cliff sides to look as natural as possible. I wanted to add, I put a little pond in here. I tried to roughen up the edges of the rocks. I did some different stuff with the textures on the terrain because I just wanted to make this area look as natural as possible. And I wanted to make it look pretty perfect. I'm not really sure how they would recreate a room like this in real life. I know they could. I don't know if they would try to recreate these cliffs with concrete, or if there's some other substance that you can use, some other material that you can make realistic looking rocks. Like they could be made of styrofoam, who knows, honestly. Now one thing I really hope they add to the game in the near future is more textures for the ground. Right now there's only like 8 to 10 textures I believe to choose from. Like there's grass, stone, like different colors of grass, some with flowers and such, but there isn't a whole lot of options. Like there isn't sand, which is kind of surprising. You would think they would have sand as a texture option. There isn't very many like colors of dirt or anything. It's pretty simplistic. That's something I hope they add to the game soon, is some more texture options, because that'd be great, along with path options, different like path textures. That would be fantastic. I hope we see that soon. I ended up riding the coaster really quick. I did a test run to see how everything was so I can make some adjustments. This first little room seems to be riding pretty smooth. I'm starting the coaster off a little bit tame, kind of starting it off a little bit slow just so you can take in the scenery, and then it'll get more intense later on once we have a really big drop. I think I'm going to end up making a really large drop behind the castle and like put some really big loops and stuff, because I want that intensity rating for this coaster to be pretty high. I want it to be something for thrill seekers. Next, I started to dive into the nature. We got to add our trees, our bushes, our flowers. I mean, this is the breath of the wild, so we got to add some wildness to it. I added some rocks. I put a little stone circle with a Korok in the center. I found this little guy in the Steam Workshop. Not the best looking Korok. I think you could... I mean, he's not the best looking fellow, but I think it's the best you could possibly do with the elements you have in this game. Like I said, you can try to create things as close as you possibly can, but there is limited scenery items. But hopefully moving forward, they're just going to keep adding more and more scenery to the game. That way you can just let your imagination run rampant. Yeah, so I am going to try to, I know I talk about this a lot, I am going to try to bring this series back as a frequent series. I'm going to try to do like episodes of this at least once a week, at least once every other week, the least. Just because I do want to keep on working on this. I had a bit of a creative block in between last episode and this episode. I've been working on lots of other projects, but this is a project I do want to continuously work on, because out of all the series I'm doing right now, this is the one that's like the most creatively pleasing for me, because I just get to create things and I love creating. So I'm going to try to make this frequent again. But with that being said, we are going to end this episode right here. I got quite a bit done. I was pretty happy with the progress I've made. In the next episode, we will continue extending the coaster, and I'll probably go back and start decorating the station room a little bit. I might be theming that like Link to the Past, but we will definitely see where it goes. Anyways, thank you all for watching this episode, and I will see you all in the next one.